Hello and welcome back to a new Kerbal Space Program video and a new episode of JNSQ. This time a short, small disclaimer in this post-commentary section, just a couple of seconds, because, well, the actual episode intro just was 5 minutes and I was just babbling around about things that already happened in the last episode and explaining, and the very short and abbreviated form of that is we're going to do a refueling mission to the space station that we've put up into low Cuban orbit in the last episode, because rebuilding the space station and building another launcher is just not possible because of the weight limitations of the launch pad. So let's jump back in time. So today's episode is going to be, wow, a 4-minute introduction one, but that was maybe a bit overboard in terms of explaining things. So today's episode is not going to focus on either of those two contracts, but it's just going to focus on we're just gonna try and gain our 40 science points in order to unlock everything unlock the RCS nozzles for an easier time docking. And so I'm gonna return to you guys once I've come up and built the mission. So see you guys in a sec. Okay, and welcome back, I guess, to the launch pad with Luna 7. So this is exactly the same lifter rocket as in 2 episodes ago, where we have sent the Jebediah to the Moon, or around the Moon to be more precise. And with the one difference, we have removed the capsule, added a probe core, and added 2 mystery science juniors. And that's pretty much it. So the goal is to do science around the Moon and to transmit the data. We're not going to recover it, we're going to transmit the data. And this should, I hope, give us enough science to do everything as planned. So we go for liftoff! And this time with sound, because I can remember last time, or when we've launched the Luna 6 mission, that was one of the weird things, we had no sound, so I can go and just, wait, okay, yes, we can go and listen to this beautiful soundtrack, if you can even hear it, because I usually tend to throw in some background music, and there rings my phone. The one and only time during the day where I get a message is, of course, when I'm recording the video. Wow. And I'm really annoyed by the fact what the message is actually telling me to do. This is super annoying, and it seems like I've been sleeping and not staging accordingly. Wow. So always put your phone away whilst flying rockets. This is definitely a very important thing to keep in mind. And we're gonna do a gravity turn and ditch the next stage or set of boosters. And this rocket flies is a little bit harder to control than I actually remember it. Boy, I just feared flipping out there for a moment, but no, everything is good, everything is fine. And we're flying towards space, which is brilliant. I actually can't remember whether I've shown you the ascent profile last time, so let's actually stick around this time, or at least until we are just coasting to apoapsis. There go the last 2 side boosters, and we just remain with the main stage, which has still our 5 engine configuration. And like I already said in the previous episode at some point, I really enjoy the way this rocket looks. It's very low tech. I mean, we are still just barely progressing. We haven't even completely filled out the tier 1 kind of like R&D tier 1, all of those tech nodes, and it really looks pretty good, pretty not futuristic, but just generally speaking pretty, and I really like that about rockets. It's still important at the end of the day, since yes, it is a game, but I do like and the most important thing obviously is to be able and succeed in your missions that you're planning to do, but still having good looking rockets is always some eye candy, is always very appreciated. So now we have an apoapsis of above 85 kilometers, so we're going to cut our engines here, and we're going to coast to apoapsis and do more or less our circularization burn over there, and I'm going to cut straight to the lunar injection burn. So see you guys in just a second again. So here we are on the dark side during the night, burning towards the moon. Like I said, I did a small maneuver node until we are pretty much having a pretty solid encounter with the moon over here. This is our planned trajectory. Let's actually time warp here. I'm going to do a make course correction because I do want to have a rather equatorial orbit. Since we already are sending a craft and we're only going to transmit the science, and we're going to transmit the science because I want to leave this small little satellite in orbit around the moon, so that once the space station is, and there goes the stage by the way, once the space station is going to go to the moon, we can immediately use this small little satellite. That's why we still have some additional fuel planned in, and gain and already complete the contract before before even sending out a real crewed mission to the moon. I want to do a maneuver node. Would you please allow me to do a maneuver node? No, not over there, like right here. Thank you very much. Oh, have we selected Minmus as our target? Well, that's unfortunate, I guess. That was not planned. And there we have a nice, let's go for a 50 kilometer. Oh, that's a bit too nice. There we go, that's good enough in my opinion. Now please give me a warp to maneuver node thingy. I do prefer them. Unset as target, please. Warp to next maneuver. There we go. So, since we already are sending already a new craft out to the moon, I think we might as well utilize this craft to... There's Kerbal. Utilize this craft, and there's the moon. And there's Mimas! Wow, so good at distracting myself. So since we're already sending out a craft to the moon, we might as well complete the contract before sending out a manned or a Kerbal moon mission. This way we might as well already plan for the manned Kerbal mission to do all the other or additional specifics that the mission is going to request us doing, because I do anticipate it having some specific requirements, but maybe it won't. We'll see. So now we're approaching the moon, and we can see them, and we can see Mimas in the background, and boy oh boy, in JNSQ, the scales are so different, or they feel at least so different compared to stock Kerbal space program. There's Kerbal. Despite only being 2.6 times larger. And now imagine the real solar system, which is more than 10 times larger than the Kerbal system in terms of scale. This is just ludicrously huge. And I forgot to do the observing the Science Junior in high space above. So whilst near the moon, so we're going to keep a only 38 science. Boy, well, good that I'm actually bringing 2 of those. So first I'm going to transmit you immediately. Yes, this is the idea of this mission, transmitting the science. So now we're going to transmit that science. We gained 37 science points. Now we're going to time warp to the apoapsis and do the same thing over there. Obviously we're going to lose connection whilst we're on the far side of the moon, or the moon is blocking the radio signal. And that's close enough, I don't care, I'm not going to wait for that tiny bit. Observing Mr. Ragu from high above, and we still haven't recharged all of our solar panel power. So let's actually point solar panels towards the solar thing, towards the sun that is. Now we're going to time warp, and we have full electric charge. We're going to fall down to the gravity well, aka down to the moon, and of course it's dark. Now it's getting bright because we have a nice beautiful sunrise, and boy, the surface is getting nice and close. I think it was this one, reviewing data, transmitting data. Yes, we're gonna get 24 science points. Let's have a look. Do we have one? Wow, we have more than 100 points of science. Brilliant. And now I think, why have I not brought a additional pointy thing? How's that pointy thing called? Thermometer and goo container, because then now we could actually attempt a moon landing like we already did. That's like the most hilarious thing. We've already landed on the moon. Oh, so beautiful. Okay, but now first things first, we still need to circularize, capture ourselves into something more reasonable here. Actually I want to burn this way. Here we go. Capture ourselves into a nice somewhat reasonably circular. Wait, that was somewhat reasonable. I'm going to crash now. Brilliant. Just burned a bit too much because we have, like you see, 3,000 meters per second of fuel. That's more than enough for what we plan to do, and we plan to only rendezvous with a space station in the future. And we have to actually point prograde, not retrograde, to raise our orbit. Obviously we could ditch this entire contraption stage, like the lower part of the stage, ditching it, and that would be alright. Is there any point in not doing it? I mean, we still have 1,300 meters per second, a small tiny stage up here, and this is like literally the only thing we need. But let's keep the fuel. We might want to have it at some point, somehow, some why, who knows. Okay, with that mission completed, back to the space center. God darn it, sadly the KSP 1.11 update where you can add additional parts with your engineers after the mission is not implemented in this version of KSP, obviously, because it's like, I think 1.8? Click for version 1.8, there we go, 1.81. And that's kind of a shame, but whatever, that's the only version where JNSQ works. Okay, so now advanced flight controls. Now we get some RCS. Thank you very much. And with that being said and completed, we can head out to the space station and dock a huge, something rather large. That's actually, should we go for something new? Now we have a land again. That's also new. Let me think about it. I think we have like 2 of these fuel tanks as our main propulsion stage. So let's actually try putting these 2 main propulsion fuel tank things as a payload. There you go, as a payload into low Cuban orbit. I'm going to take a probe. Where's the probe core? There's a probe core. Before that, I do need a adapter. That's I think there's actually pretty good adapter. There we go. That's the wrong one. There we have the correct one. There we have the probe core, and here we have a clampatron. Nice. Now we need some batteries, solar panels, RCS thrusters, RCS thingies, and even more contraption thingies. Wow, that sounded really dumb. I think I'm actually gonna go with the same setup I had last time. Or was I using one of those? Actually, I'm not sure, and I'm going to pause the recording, build this rocket, check what we actually need in terms of fuel capacity. So yeah, see you guys in just a sec. Okay, here we are. Actually, just by coincidence, it seems like we are already in a pretty good position to launch. I've already selected the space station as our target, so we're going to wait a tiny bit longer. Oh, that's solid. This is our small little or large little rocket. The first time we're using 2-meter core stages, and we are at our maximum lift capacity actually. Just under 140 tons, we're like 130 something tons. 138.8 tons. And I'm going to be honest, I'm actually not quite sure whether we'll actually have even enough capabilities to get all of this into orbit, but we're definitely going to try our best. As the reader tells us right now, we definitely don't have enough. But I think there's nothing else left to say but to press space and hope this is going to work. And lift off. There we go. Well, we have this actually lower thrust to weight ratio than I anticipated. That's why I didn't throttle up to 100% in the very beginning, but we've already we're already at 100% again. I have selected the thrust to weight ratio of the thrust output of those kickbacks to 90%, but now in retrospect I guess I should have actually let them at 100%. On the other hand, it's not that bad right now. Solid fuel is running out quite fast. Liquid fuel is running out faster, which is brilliant because we're first going to ditch these two liquid fuel tanks. Though we are now accelerating a bit too hard in my opinion. Let's throttle down a tiny bit. Still keeping an eye on the liquid fuel here on those fuel tanks. Throttling down even lower, and 3, 2, 1, goodbye. Full throttle and goodbye SRBs. Now we have a lower thrust to weight ratio than 1 as it seems. Well, I anticipated that, but I thought it would take us a little bit, it would get us a little bit higher with those SRBs. And that the detachment of the liquid fuel tanks would be way earlier. This is close, we're fighting no gravity, this is bad, we're slowing down, which is even worse. Maybe this is a failure, though I still have hopes for it. It's like not a catastrophe still. Come on, get above 1. This is the one time only where I want to drain more fuel. There we go, now we're above 1, we're accelerating again despite accelerating rather slowly. I'm going to detach the fairing rather early, shedding, even though it's not a lot of mass, I'm going to shed it at 35 kilometers. Now let's wait actually until we're at 40-ish. 38 is a good center, it's a good middle ground here. Ditching the fairing is not a lot of additional weight, or not losing a lot of weight, but at least something. And here you can see by way our fuel tanker. Just literally these two fuel tanks, not even full. I left on purpose a little bit out here in order to save mass. And this one fuel tank here just for orbital maneuvers, honestly speaking. And that's it. Okay, and then we have here down underneath in the next stage a poodle stage, which has a lot of fuel. But this stage is not really providing enough kick as I hoped it would. I guess we're gonna end up short, or I'm going to transfer some of the fuel that we're actually trying to bring into orbit into the stage down here, just to have more. Well, just to have more. To at least get it into orbit. The approach is not bad, but we're way too slow. It's gonna overtake us in just a second. Where's our target? And it passes over us, or it should pass over us. There it is. And there it goes. Yeah, we're a bit too slow. We're a bit too low and too slow, despite actually not being that bad in terms of altitude. Though we're definitely too slow. Going to accelerate as much as we can towards the target. And we definitely will need to use some of this fuel. I'm going to in. Stop and stop. Some of that fuel, so we're not going to fully refuel that craft. Though we don't even need a completely refueled craft to begin with. That's fine. Still, I do hope at least to get into a stable orbit before we're going to fall down too far. Wow, the periapsis of that thing is 90 kilometers straight, huh? Our apoapsis is already above that, however, our periapsis is way below it. So, because we already... There we go, now we've again are coasting through apoapsis. Wait, now let's have a look at things. How much more do we need? We still need a lot more, so I'm going to use even more of our excess fuel. I'm going to use the entire front fuel tank of the fuel tanker with the Poodle engine, because it has a lot higher thrust to weight ratio than the Terry that we still have here on as our second or next stage engine. Oh, and there we go, we are actually already in orbit. Let's actually drain the remaining fuel here, and just before that let's ditch this one and use arterial here for the last bit. And there we have now a stable orbit. Because we are in a lower orbit, let's have a look. Is accelerating helping us getting closer to our target? Yes, it is. Target separation 90 kilometers, 70 kilometers, 60 kilometers, 40 kilometers, 30 kilometers, 20 kilometers, 19. There we go. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.9. That's close enough for my taste. So now we're gonna go and play some catch up. The target should appear in the near future, so we cannot fast forward even faster because we're so low. Electricity looks fine. So we got into orbit with this craft. We used up half, not quite, almost. No, let's go with that. We used up half of our fuel that was actually meant to stay in the fuel tanker with the Poodle stage, which is okay. Let's see how much we can actually refuel the space station. I doubt it's going to be full, but I do think it will be enough fuel for our mission. And boy, our apoapsis is actually quite high, 140 kilometers. How the space station's apoapsis is at almost just under 200 kilometers, also quite high. Okay, so where is our target? There is our target. Let's slow down in relation to it after we have passed the point of closest approach. There we go, 2.9 kilometers. And 100 meters per second of delta V in terms of velocity change here. Relative velocity, that's actually a lot faster. I thought we'd be a lot, almost the same speed, honestly speaking. But the distances and the scales are just so different in terms of compared to the regular, to the stock KSP. So yeah, so we're gonna do 5 meter per second puff in that direction. And now I'm going to try... Ooh, beautiful RCS jets. Gonna try to just keep ourselves more or less aligned in terms of velocity vector with the RCS, using the main thruster just to build additional velocity to get there in a reasonable amount of time. And that means before we're going to get into the dark side, or to the dark side of the planet. Now let's actually do one more of these burns, do a small bit of sideway burning with our main engine. There we go, now we should get closer. We're getting again further, well not further, but we stopped getting closer at a reasonable amount of reasonable speed, so let's drag the velocity marker back towards the target. Now we are at 500 meters per second. Wow, that would be way too fast in relation to that thing. Okie dokie, let's... Whoa. Thankfully we have a lot of gyros, which helps a lot, but maybe a bit too many. There we go. Now we seem to be getting very nice and close and cozy. That's good enough for RCS right now. Let's turn one last time towards... There we go. Using our main engine to cancel now the... Where's the marker? There we go. The last bit of relative velocity with the main engine. And we're done. Now we can just point towards the target. Point towards the target, give myself a nice, more or less aligned viewpoint, activate RCS, check the headings, turn around, check the headings. Are you gonna work now? No. Are you going to work right now like I wanted to work? Yes. Yes. Okay, I accept. I can live with this. Okay, so we're going to burn towards our target and to the right. I've actually balanced the RCS thrusters to a fully fueled payload, so we have now a bit too much thrust here from the frontal ones, and that's still close enough to the center of mass. So let's select the target docking port as well, the docking port as our target to be more precise. Now let's stop accelerating, or stop moving actually towards the right. Let's move a bit towards that side and slow. Actually, let's move again away and slow down because we're not pointing straight at the target. That was the wrong button. Go out of the docking mode, translation mode. Point ourselves towards the target itself. Now we are back in translation. Now we can just nice and slowly translate over there. Well, it's not that slow, and we're approaching the dark side of the planet. I want to dock before that. And the episode is just hitting the 30-minute mark, so it's a quite long episode. Maybe I'm gonna cut something out, and it's not that long. If it is, I'm sorry, or I hope you're enjoying the long episode. So we're actually doing quite a lot of things. Wrong way, this way, slow down, and a bit down. There we go, and deactivating SAS, and we docked successfully. Let's just tumble back to the bright side. Oh, we cannot do, well, we can do this, but it's not the newer Kerbal Space Program versions where once you're in a stable orbit, even if it's a low orbit around whatever, you can you can time warp at maximum time warp powerness. Yes, which is quite cool. I really like the new edition. Anyhow, let's start right clicking, because we can see already all sorts of things, and now we are more or less on the daylight side. And wait, am I unable to click Alt? There we go. And now we can just move all the fuel from this new fuel part from the tanker into these two doofuses. I do want to keep some fuel. Like, I'm going to transfer. I'm always pressing the wrong button if you haven't figured that one out yet. So let's move that fuel into this tank in order to deorbit that thing, and now use most of our actual stage fuel, or fuel from the fuel tank that is going to power our stage. There you go. So now we have, actually let's move it in here, this tiny bit that we still have left. So I'm going to assume this is enough fuel in order to deorbit this entire contraption, like the fuel tank, the tanker, and we have almost full fuel tanks in the space station, which is absolutely brilliant. And with this, we are going to end today's episode, and next time we finally can send out our space station around the moon to the moon. So in this note, I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. I hope you're enjoying the JNSQ series, and I hope you're having a great day. Spaceship signing out. Until next time.